Ladies, gentlemen, and of course, everybody in between, welcome back to the Electrek Garage. I'm your host, as always, Declan Cav, and today I'm going to be reviewing my new daily driver, my 2012 Coda EV base.
Hey guys, voiceover Declan. Yeah, you heard me correctly. I just called my 2014 Chevy Volt a 2012 Coda EV. Guys, I promise I know what cars are. Past me is just really freaking stupid, okay? I'm so sorry. I didn't want to be in this video. I didn't want to do voiceovers.
This is an electric car with a range-extending gas generator, and if you dare to call this thing a hybrid, I swear I will do things to you that will get me demonetized. It's an electric car. Get it right. If you haven't seen my last video, first off, you should go watch it so I can exploit you for the ad revenue, but I'm replacing my daily driver 2012 Coda EV with this. And if you want to know why, go watch the last video. I've been daily driving this Volt for the past month, so I feel at least slightly qualified to speak on how it drives. We're also going to be comparing it to the Coda to see how infinitely better this car is than that piece of junk. It's just sitting right there. You can't see it. Fuck you. I actually love it. This is the second version of the first gen, which all that really means is I get a little bit more battery capacity, which means a little bit more electric-only range, but we'll get into all that later. It's really hot out, so we're gonna film the rest of this in the car probably. So the Chevy Volt started selling in the US in 2012 and was sold until 2019. There were two generations. This is the first gen, and then there was a second generation that was infinitely worse looking than this one. And that's a big reason why I actually chose the first generation. This is actually technically the spiritual successor to the EV1, having a very similar battery pack and using a lot of the same concepts that were implemented in the EV1. But the EV1's all for another video. I don't want to talk about that right now. Don't worry about it. I got something planned. I can't say anything, but we'll talk about the EV1 later in another video. I can't say much. Anyway, I apologize for the background noise, but it is currently 109 degrees here in Arizona, and there is no way I'm rocking this bad boy without the air conditioning. It's actually a big reason I bought this car, if you watched my last video. But let's just talk about the driving experience first off. So the way this car drives is a little bit interesting and a little bit different than a lot of other hybrids work. This car uses electric-only range for the first about 30 miles. This means that the gas engine doesn't turn on at all. It doesn't matter how hard you accelerate or how fast you go. The first 30 miles of this car will be electric only. It'll use the battery completely. And this thing gets about 30 to 40 miles of electric-only range, which is better than any other on the market. In fact, this kind of range-extended electric car concept didn't really catch on at all. There are very few of these range-extended electric cars in existence, and the Volt is the one that does it the best. The gas motor in this car will never drive the wheels, but we'll get into more of what the drivetrain in this car looks like later. The other thing I can do in this video that I couldn't do in my last is I can take this on more main roads. Not only was the Coda not registered in the last video, but also it would overheat if I tried to take it higher than 20 miles per hour. This thing, we can go 80. It's not a fast car. But let's talk about that. This car is an Econobox. This car is not fast. There is a sport mode, although I could not tell you if there's a difference between normal mode and sport mode because it just feels slow in either one. But it doesn't need to be fast. It's not made to be fast, and I don't want it to be fast. I want it to be economy, and that's what it is. It gets about 50 to 60 miles per gallon when driving in hybrid mode, and can, like I said earlier, can do about 30 to 40 miles in electric only range. So this car is really for economy, but it's also kind of programmed for luxury. This car was almost advertised as a luxury car, weirdly enough, and it is kind of luxury in here. We do get the leather seats, and the sound deadening in this thing is insanely good. Like, it might be better than a Tesla sound deadening. There is barely any road noise. When the gas motor's running in hybrid mode, you barely hear it at all. The only thing you really get is a little bit of whine of the motors. Now I want to go through and just do some rapid fire of things that my Volt has that my Coda doesn't. Save for the gas. The Coda can't take gas. Well, it could, but it would probably blow up. Let's start. First off, this. I can lock the car with a key. You have to actually physically put it into the car in the Coda. When you walk up to the car, you can just push this button and the car unlocks. No need to take the key out of your pocket. It's a push to start. And you get a lovely little animation and the car starts right up. You get an actual screen display, and so your gauges will never break. unlike what they do in the Coda. You can actually change your charging modes so that you can schedule and you can actually change the level. Can't do that on the Coda. Oh, what's this? We have drive modes. There are different drive modes in this car. Yeah, Coda doesn't have that. You actually get a power draw display here. So depending if you're using the gas motor or the battery and how much power you're using or regenerating. The Coda kind of has something like that, but nowhere near as nice as this. Cruise control, my favorite. Also, just controls on the steering wheel in general. Don't get that in a Coda. Lock and unlock buttons. Believe it or not, you don't get that in a Coda. Climate control modes for more efficiency. You get rated on how well you drive. That's pretty cool. I like that. The windows will actually roll down all the way with just one push, and they'll roll all the way back up with the push. And they'll actually roll all the way back up. In the Coda, sometimes you have to punch them. That's not a joke. That's something you actually have to do. In this car, you get actual Bluetooth audio, and the sound quality is actually really good. Let me just channel my inner dank pods here. It's got decent bass. It's actually pretty good. On that note as well, it's also worth noting that you can actually select the track and pause and play from the screen, something that is not extended to the Coda. All right, that's enough Coda slander for now. Anyway, looking at this car, you might think that it's a sedan, but actually the Volt is a hatchback. It's huge back here. The amount of space in the back of this car is actually really amazing. It's a huge hatchback. It actually makes me want to go camping in this at some point. If I do that, I'll maybe make a video out of it. I don't know. Does that sound like good content? Maybe not. I don't know. We'll think about it. Huge trunk. That's my point. Love it. Let's talk about how the drivetrain works a little bit. So there are actually 2 motors in this car, and there are 4 different drive modes that this car can be in. There's single motor drive, which basically just means we're using the battery pack to drive a single motor. There's dual motor mode, where we can have the battery pack driving both motors. Then we have one motor, one generator mode. This uses one of the motors as a generator from the gas engine, and that will power the secondary motor. Or if we're driving super efficiently and we don't need to accelerate, we can have dual generator mode, which uses both of the motors as a generator from the gas engine. That's really cool. A really cool system that you won't find in any other car, any other hybrid. This car does have quite a bit of battery degradation. I only have about 8.2 kilowatt hours usable on the battery pack, but I'll tell you why I'm not too worried about that. I have plans. I have plans for this car. This battery pack that's currently in this car will last me another couple years maybe, but at some point I want to upgrade the battery in this car because I've done the math and I can easily fit 42 kilowatt hours of batteries into the stock battery container in this car. I could get this thing over 100-mile range if I want to, and I do want to. I can't promise that project video anytime soon, but I can promise it at some point. This car will be getting a 100-mile range battery pack put into it, making it just the most usable electric vehicle with a range extending gas generator ever. Unless we're maybe talking about a Via V-Trucks, but we're not talking about a Via V-Trucks. That's another video. You may also incorrectly assume that this car is a 5-seater. It's actually just a 4-seater, and that's because, not unlike the Electrek, the battery pack runs down the center of this car. And so there's not really a room for a middle seat back here, which actually I like a lot. The second gen did have 5 seats, but I am a huge fan of this 4-seat setup. When you're sitting back here, it feels like you have so much more space. It feels, the legroom's not great, but it's not bad. Headroom's bad, but yeah, I mean, you get, it feels much more luxury back here without having that middle seat. You just get some cup holders and a charge port. It's really nice. I like the 4-seat setup. Now for 3 things that I really like about the Volt and 3 things that I hate. Starting with the things that I hate. This is the same complaint I have on the Coda. The charging speeds are so slow. They're only 3.3 kilowatt charging speed in this car. Luckily though, this actually uses the same exact chargers as the Coda. It has a Lier charger, and as it turns out, I have some Lier chargers sitting around, so I will be upgrading the charger in this thing because this is so freaking slow. So my second complaint is with the charge port. If I don't unlock the car before unplugging it, the car alarm will go off. and I often accidentally set it off. I would show you, but I live in a neighborhood and I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I don't like that the car alarm goes off if I unplug my car with it being locked. I get why they did it, but I'm stupid. I forget to unlock it. The third thing that I dislike about this car is how quickly it will lock on you. So I just finished a drive, you know, I'm gonna get out of my car. I'm gonna close the door. The door's unlocked. Watch how quickly it'll lock itself. It's not even enough time for me to get my groceries out of the back. It just locks itself. Then I have to walk back up to it and, you know, push the button and get back into it. But you know, it's just a little annoying. So the first thing that I really love is the pedestrian horn. And that's just right here on this stalk. If I push it, you can hear the little pedestrian horn. I really like that feature. The second thing that I really like is something that a lot of people might actually dislike about this car, and that is the insane amount of crap that's going on here. I mean, look at all these buttons. Look at what's going on. What is the eco circle, the eco blob? Why do we have an eco blob? I love it. Everything that's going on here is so chaotic and so stupid. I absolutely love the interior of this car. This massive shifter that sticks back into this huge hole in the dash. You know, it's solid, it's big. Everything in here is just so stupid and I love it. And the third thing that I really like about this car is the green screen. It is so much better than the Koda's green screen. This will show if we're using engine or battery or any combination of whatever power we're using to drive the wheels. And it's animated and it's really cool. Then we have our charge settings and then we have our energy info. This will give us how well we're driving and then also our energy usage. Ignore that, I've been idling for a while. Well, I've been filming this video. That's normally much higher. Ignore that. Anyway, yeah, so much better green screen. I like it a lot more than what we had in the Koda, and it actually displays useful information. This entire display here is actually a very nice setup. Coming from the Koda, coming from daily driving a Koda, this thing feels so much more car than the Koda. You can really feel the prototypeness of the Koda when you're driving the Chevy Volt. This thing feels solid. It feels like it's meant to drive. It feels like it likes to drive. The Koda, the Koda's a car. The Koda drives. Does the Koda like to drive? Does the Koda feel good to drive? But the Volt is, yeah. We're good, yeah, the Volt. A quick fun fact about the Volt, this thing actually has two horns. So there's one on the end of the stalk. I don't think you'll be able to hear it. I don't think you can hear that, but it's like a little tiny pedestrian horn. So if somebody's not like paying attention at a light or something, you can give them a nice little friendly honk. And then you got full force horn in the middle. But that little friendly horn, all cars should have that little friendly horn. I've already used it a ton in this car. Just like if someone's not paying attention on their phone at a light, you know, I'm not mad or aggressive. I'm just gonna little at you know? Or if someone's stepping in front of your car. I'm a college student and I live on a college campus with 100,000 students. People step in front of your car a lot, so you can give them a little, and they flip you off. I love it here. That guy's driving on the sidewalk. Okay. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was a shorter one and not as entertaining as my other content, but I've been really busy with college. If you don't know, I'm a full-time college student at Arizona State University getting my degree in electrical engineering. And this semester is hitting hard. So I'm gonna modify my upload schedule here a little bit. You'll still get the same amount of videos per month. I'm still doing 2 video uploads per month. However, I'm not gonna limit myself to specific days. You'll get a new video about every 2 weeks. Before it was every other Saturday, now it will be within a plus or minus 2 days. It just gives me a little more time to work on the videos and get you guys higher quality content. I do have my next 2 videos planned and I'm filming those in the next week and I'm super excited for those. They're gonna be super fun. But yeah, that's gonna be the new upload schedule. 2 other things that are new is, first off, you see this shirt I'm wearing? I made some merch. I don't know if anybody actually wants some, but I like designing merch. So if you want to get some merch, I've tried to make them as cheap as possible. You can go to the link in the description below and you can pick up some of these shirts. This one is the front end of the Electrek, the display diagram. All kinds of fun merch on that site. I do get a little bit of profit from it, but not a ton because I wanted to make sure the shirts were as cheap as possible for you guys. The other thing is I kind of wanted to ask you guys like a semi-serious question. I have been playing with the idea of starting a Patreon account. But I don't just want a Patreon where I post videos before they go live and all that kind of fun stuff. If I were to start a Patreon, I would want it to be a teaching Patreon where you could pay a certain amount per month and then you would actually get tutorials on how to do a lot of the stuff I'm doing. So in my videos, and especially my project videos going into like batteries and stuff, I'm usually pretty more entertainment based than education based, but on a Patreon, I'd be able to go into depth about how every system works and how I'm doing everything. So kind of more of a tutorial, more learning. I would also like to do some more behind the scenes content where I go into more depth about what I'm personally working on, more of my personal life and that kind of stuff. I don't know if anyone's actually interested in that. I know I'm a very small YouTuber, but if that's something you guys would be interested in, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. It's just something that I would like to play around with, teaching people more about electric cars. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please subscribe. It means a lot to me, and I love you. I'll see you all in 2 weeks, plus or minus 3 days. Bye. Like I said earlier, this is the spiritual successor to the EV1. And like I said earlier, we'll be getting into EV1s in another video. Wink, wink. I'm doing something. I shouldn't be I should say I shouldn't be teasing that too much. There's a lot in the air with that video right now. But wink, wink, nudge, nudge, EV1s, maybe. Let's not talk about that.